October 30th was a date I've been waiting for quite a while. The single Wii U port I was wanting the most had finally come to Switch, that of course being Pikmin 3 Deluxe. While it's significant in the sense that it's one of the Wii U's greatest games and was also one of the last exclusives being held hostage by the console, it's even more importantly, the first traditional Pikmin game to come out in 7 years, and I sincerely hope you bought it. Not just because it's an absolutely remarkable game, but also because this is what I believe is Pikmin's last chance to bloom into one of Nintendo's staple IPs. Being a lifelong Pikmin fan is suffering. When the original was released on the GameCube way back in 2001, Nintendo was putting all their faith in it to become one of their biggest franchises they'd have under their wing, up there with Zelda and even Mario. Miyamoto even said himself that Pikmin is the next Mario, and while that was a ludicrous statement even back then, it was still reasonable to believe that it would end up being along the ranks of Metroid or even Kirby. It was a wondrously creative game, really unlike any other, filled with incredibly charming and, dare I even say, marketable creatures, along with an engaging plotline and incredibly fun and complex gameplay that really made the most out of the GameCube hardware. And sure enough, only 3 years after the release of Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2 was already on store shelves, giving us probably one of the most expansive sequels to any game ever, featuring a second captain, 2 new Pikmin types, hundreds of enemies, an incredibly lengthy story mode, an expanded challenge mode, and of course over 200 treasures to collect. On the outside, things looked extremely bright for the future of the franchise, but unfortunately behind the curtains, things weren't looking too hot for the Pikmin. To put it bluntly, the sales numbers were awful. The original only sold roughly 1.6 million, while its sequel didn't even match that. Considering the amount of resources put into the original 2 titles only for them to turn out a less than favorable profit margin, it goes without saying, but a Pikmin 3 was no longer a priority. But 6-year-old me didn't understand this. I didn't know business, money, or how the sales of a game mattered, or even what they were. All I knew is that Pikmin 2 came very soon after Pikmin 1, meaning Pikmin 3 presumably would be coming soon after Pikmin 2. So E3 after E3 after E3, I waited for what I presumed to be an inevitable announcement of Pikmin 3 for Wii, and obviously, it never came. But what we did get in the midst of all that nothing was hints, teases, and even ports. July 2008 was the first time we got a real confirmation that Pikmin was coming, when Miyamoto simply stated during an interview, "We're making Pikmin," which at the very least confirmed to us that they are in fact making Pikmin. However, only a couple months later would be the reveal of a Pikmin for Wii. I specifically remember learning about it through G4 TV. They were showing off an aptly named Pikmin for Nintendo Wii, and after seeing 2 seconds of gameplay I realized this was just Pikmin 1. This ended up being the reveal of the first entry in Nintendo's new Play Control line, a series that would end up breathing new life into both Pikmin and Metroid Prime with how well they controlled with the Wiimote, but nevertheless it was still a heartbreak to find out that this rumored new Pikmin game was just a port. Luckily though, soon after that, Nintendo VP Cammy Dunaway specifically stated that what the "we're making Pikmin" statement was referring to was in fact a brand new Wii-specific Pikmin game, and not just the GameCube re-releases. A statement that was incredibly relieving at the time, but with just further disappointment as it re-cemented the hope that I would hold with me as each upcoming E3 came and went. After everything was said and done, by the end of the Wii's lifespan, it still had no Pikmin 3. But luckily, before the Wii U's lifespan had even started, at E3 2012, Pikmin 3 was revealed in full for the console, and wow, was it gorgeous, although it wouldn't actually release until 2013. Though still, after 9 years of waiting, Pikmin 3 was finally in my hands, and I couldn't be happier. But I also couldn't be any more naive. You see, Pikmin 3 almost acts as a soft reboot for the franchise. It condenses down the game's scope to a size comparable to that of the original Pikmin, instead of being the jam-packed sequel that Pikmin 2 was. It tones down the amount of enemy types, the length of the game, the amount of things to collect, but amped up the amount of captains by 1 and allowed you to now throw them, adding another core mechanic to the game. And that's really what Pikmin 3 was all about, redesigning and polishing the core mechanics of Pikmin to be more streamlined and welcoming to a new player base, while making the gameplay more intuitive in general. That's why having 3 new captains star in the main role instead of just having Olimar and Louie again made perfect sense, because the game was so different from the earlier titles. And I was fully convinced that much like how we got a game that expanded on Olimar's adventure in a major way, we were going to get one that expanded on the adventures of Alf, Brittany, and Charlie. There was just one problem with Pikmin 3 for Wii U though, and that's that it was for Wii U. I don't think I need to spell it out, but the Wii U was an infamous failure, so it's not surprising that the sales of Pikmin 3 suffered severely because of it. Had Pikmin 3 debuted on Wii, I guarantee we wouldn't be here talking about any of this. Instead, I would be on my merry way playing Pikmin 4 and maybe even Pikmin 5, cause the install base of the Wii would have given Pikmin 3 an easy 5 million sales at least. But in this sad reality we live in, Pikmin 3 was stuck on a console that only had an install base of 13 million, making Pikmin 3, a reboot of the franchise made to jumpstart the series for a new generation of fans, sell worse than the original did a whole 12 years beforehand. It's nothing more than unfortunate that the Pikmin series seems to only have its chances on Nintendo's worser selling hardware. Although it may not seem like it, the GameCube was a pretty colossal failure for Nintendo too, only selling a bit over 20 million, so the fact that each of Pikmin's major releases were on less than successful consoles no doubt heavily damaged the series' chances of success. But nevertheless, after a 9-year wait for Pikmin 3, I couldn't imagine that I would yet again have to wait a ludicrous amount of time for Pikmin 4 to release, and in 2015 it was looking like I'd be correct about that. If you have ever read anything about Pikmin 4 in your life, it's likely that you have seen this article. Pikmin 4 is in development, and very close to completion. Miyamoto stated Pikmin teams are always working on the next one, and Nintendo even confirmed that Pikmin 4 was in development. This news came when rumors of the upcoming NX console were hot, so judging off the fact that it was apparently almost done, it was easy to believe that it would either be a last-minute Wii U title, or it would hit the NX early in its lifespan. But instead, we are currently suffering a wait for Pikmin 4, nearly identical to the wait for Pikmin 3. Right down to them releasing a Pikmin game that's not Pikmin 4, and then having to confirm that it was not the Pikmin game they said was in development. But before I get to current day with the release of Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I'd like to bring up another franchise under Nintendo's wing that had a very similar history, albeit with significantly less luck. Chibi Robo is one of Nintendo's most loved franchises among those who have actually played it. Debuting on the GameCube, it starred a tiny little battery-powered robot going around a big old house doing things and talking to weird people. It was a game all about exploration, time management, and creativity, much like Pikmin. Although unlike Pikmin, it was not developed in-house, instead being developed by a little company called Skip. Unfortunately though, it released at the tail end of the GameCube's lifespan, giving the game expectedly, although disappointingly, terrible sales numbers. Despite this, it still managed to get 2 sequels only a couple years later. Park Patrol came to the DS in 2007 and was more or less using all the main mechanics of Chibi Robo, but on a much smaller scale, simply just putting you in control of taking care of a park. I couldn't find exact sales numbers besides selling at least 160,000 in Japan, but I could imagine the rather small sales numbers were respectable for such a minor handheld title. Though only 2 years later it would receive a full-fledged sequel to the original, still on the DS, that being Chibi Robo Happy Rich Healthy. But this time around it remained Japan exclusive, and only managed to sell around 130,000 units. In the same year, the GameCube game even saw a new play control release, but again only in Japan, and the sales were absolutely pitiful. So from the beginning, the series was really lucky to see more than one game, let alone 2 sequels and a port. But as I stated before, it's become a pretty beloved franchise, so there's definitely a real audience for it and big potential for the series if it were to be marketed properly. And amazingly enough, the Japan-only DS game wouldn't be the end of the series. In 2013, we were given Photo Finder, which wasn't more than a cheap downloadable title, but showed that the character was still under Nintendo's radar. Unfortunately, what would come next for the little guy would be Chibi Robo Ziplash. Now, Ziplash has become quite an infamous title among Nintendo fans, as it was just not a very good game at all. Instead of playing to the franchise's strengths as an exploration-based open-world game, it was just another mediocre platformer. Now, making a crappy spin-off is one thing, it happens to many franchises, but the entire future of Chibi Robo was riding on Ziplash. Tanabe stated that this was an attempt to market the franchise to a broader demographic, and if Ziplash didn't sell well, that was gonna be it for Chibi Robo. And lo and behold, it failed to appeal to neither platforming fans nor Chibi Robo fans, hitting bargain bins almost instantly, thus killing the franchise as a whole. Now, this is a bit of a tinfoil hat theory, but I believe much like how Ziplash was an attempt to broaden the franchise's demographic that killed any chance of another Chibi Robo game, that Hey Pikmin may have been an attempt to broaden Pikmin's demographic, and its failure is partially responsible for how low priority the Pikmin franchise is to Nintendo. While Chibi Robo was on much thinner ice, Nintendo's still never been able to get the numbers they wanted from Pikmin. And when Hey Pikmin came around and, like Ziplash, neither appealed to platforming fans nor fans of the franchise, it suffered the worst sales numbers the series has ever seen. Though, the big difference between Pikmin and Chibi Robo is that Pikmin had a backup. Thanks to the sheer success of the Switch, just about every decent game from the Wii U has been ported or is being ported to the console. And thanks to that, the Pikmin series has finally been given a real fighting chance. For the first time, a mainline Pikmin entry is appearing on an actually successful console. Sure, Pikmin 1 and 2 saw re-releases on the Wii, but they were almost direct ports on a console that could already play GameCube games. 3 Deluxe might as well be a brand new entry in the series with how much has been added, and how Nintendo is marketing it. It's pretty evident that with how Nintendo includes Pikmin in so much of their promotional imagery, they want it to be one of their major franchises, and 3 Deluxe could be the franchise's big break if it gets the sales it deserves. But if 3 Deluxe manages to underperform on the Switch of all consoles, then it will send a message to Nintendo that the series may be hopeless. But again, this is just how I view things. All my theories could be completely inaccurate. For all we know, Pikmin 4 could be gearing up for a summer 2020 release, but nevertheless, better sales would certainly mean more Pikmin. But before I end things off, I should tell you why you should buy it if you haven't already. I don't think I need to explain this because of how much I've talked about the series already, but Pikmin 3 is a game with incredible level design and mechanics that lend well to being a strategy game that so engages those who aren't even fans of the genre. It is certainly a game only Nintendo could come up with, and it's certainly up there with Mario and Zelda in terms of quality. Worried that the $60 price tag is too high when it's $20 on Wii U? Don't be. 3 Deluxe packs in the DLC content that costs extra in the original, and additionally adds in a decently lengthy and fun side story that makes the package feel all that more complete over the original. Worried that you first need to play the original 2 to enjoy the third? Don't be. As I mentioned, it's a soft reboot of the series and doesn't continue off the original 2 in any meaningful way. Worried that you won't like it? Don't be. I have not met one person who has played Pikmin 3 who did not enjoy it, but that's just my experience. For all I know, you could absolutely hate it. But even if you ended up disliking it, it doesn't matter, as there's a free demo on the eShop that packs in over half an hour in content along with 1 level for mission mode, giving you more than enough stuff to do to decide whether you like it or not. Pikmin 3 Deluxe is certainly one of the best games available on the Switch, and I absolutely urge you to at least try it to see if you like it, and if you do like it, then I hope you buy it.